y'all, APG Jamie here, and today we're going to do some faux rust, and we're using these chipboard stencils, you know, like you get from the kids department of Walmart or your art store, anywhere like that. And I've got these rusty type paints that I've had for I should be embarrassed to say for a little while, couple years or so. Anyway, one of them's VerDay, and I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, but so be it. And then I have some Prima. The VerDay comes in a set of 4 paints and an activator. The Prima comes in a set of 3. The FolkArt comes in a set of 2. You see how we're counting down? And then I use my own regular acrylic mix, but we'll get there. Now these things, these stencils have a sheen to them because, you know, it's to help resist absorbing whatever you're using your paper stencils for. They're like a double thickness of cardstock, okay? Just to give you a weight idea. And I realized that first one didn't go on it went on more translucent than I expected, okay? So I thought, well, let me just scrub some of this shine off. So that's what we did for the rest of them that we're using for the VerDay. There's a list of ingredients in the description box below. Click on the click on the phrase show more to read more information about my video. And other people typically have stuff under that show more phrase word stuff also, okay? So for this particular set, it is to paint on a coat, let it dry 4 hours. Well, I let it dry overnight. Same difference, right? Right. And it has brass, bronze, copper, and iron, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Okay? Now, I was going to put these stencils, I'm not even sure why I had them, y'all. I've had them forever. I was going to put them in the charity box, and then I thought, you know what? We're going to do our faux rust stuff on this, and then we'll have some interesting faux rust bits to play with and use and junk. So that's why I did. There's some that did go in a charity box, just not all of them, y'all. So painting it on, and then it's set overnight, and now we're going to spray the activator on it. Now I can see where you would run out of activator long before you ran out of paint, okay? So I don't know if you can buy it separately. I don't know if this company TenSeconds Studio is even still active, because I didn't check any of that out, y'all. Just saying. Hey, I feel kind of good that I'm able to tell you the product, right? Right. Of course. So I'm trying to be careful and not smudge the edges, but edges get smudged, and so it goes. And there we go. There's our activator. It doesn't do anything. It has to sit there and dry. And again, I think I let this dry overnight because I was working on a few projects all at the same time. And because a few projects all seem to have a lot of drying time involved in them, y'all. So, pretty sure that's the copper. See, it says C on the lid. Pretty sure that means copper. They all have their merits. Do I have a favorite? No, not really. Not really. When we get to the other stuff coming up, y'all, this is kind of a longer video. I think it's at least 30 minutes, or right there at, okay? Oh, and there's going to be a part 2, but it's not really a part 2. It's just sort of a part 2. I show you what I do and how I used the bits from the stencil parts. Okay? It will be posted pretty much at the same time as this video. Okay, that one's a B, so that's probably brass. I think the first one was bronze, because it said BZ, bronze. I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's what's logical to me. We know I'm very logical, right? No need to answer that. I can't hear you even if you did. I do appreciate your likes, your kind comments, your shares, and your subscriptions. Just throwing that out there. I appreciate you. And that one is iron, I guess. It has an I on it. So iron is the metal that actually rusts. Bronze and copper and brass, they patina. In my opinion, I'm not a metallurgist, so I think I pronounced that mostly right. Metallurgist. So there we go. We dried overnight, and I'm like, nope, that's not really showing enough patina. Now, I left everything all the same color. All the stencils we use in this project, these little card stencils, are all the same color. And no, I didn't think to measure them to see what size they are. They look like they're maybe a 5x4 or a 4x3 or something like that. Okay, just in case we're all curious, because I didn't measure them, because it didn't matter. I'm trying to use stuff up, y'all. So now we're going to put a second coat on it, because the instructions said I could, if I read them right, because sometimes I don't always read stuff right, but so it goes. And second coat, and yeah, it needs to dry. The instructions said 4 hours. Did I let this dry 4 hours, or was this overnight again? I don't remember. It was definitely either 4 hours or overnight. So it goes. Now, I like that copper kind of came out interesting. And I did mark on the back. I probably pointed that out, but I didn't say it out loud. I did write on the back the paint set and the color that was being used on them, so I wouldn't get too confused. Okay. So if you happen to have any of these, they come in, these are, this particular set is, I don't know, flowers and I don't know what all. And then you can get it in animals and stuff like that too. So, I mean, there's that. I have no clue how much they cost. Like I said, I've had these for years. Okay? And I came across them when I was doing my studio cleanup, straighten up earlier in this year. So, there we have it. Okay, so when you put the second coat on, that's when you spray it. Okay. So now we're moving on to the Prima, which comes in these little tubs, and like I said, it's a set of 3, and there's a dark, a red, and a gold rust. Now, technically, I believe that they're all supposed to be used in the same project so that you get the varying degrees of rust color, because rust is really dark, and then it's kind of a medium orangey tone, and then it's a lighter yellowy gold tone. So this has texture in it. The darker one has more texture, and the texture gets lighter as you go down with the lighter of the product as well. And it is really textured, and the best way to put it on is with a little cheap crappy brush, all right, and to dabble it, smoosh it. I'm showing you with my hand, but you can't see it. Y'all saw me on the screen. Up and down kind of motion. It will not paint in a back and forth motion. Do not use a sponge brush, because all the little granules in there, which is probably sand, because this is an acrylic product. The other one, I think, has actual metal in it to a certain degree. I don't know. This one has probably sand or something like that in it to give you the texture. The VerDay one does not have texture, which works fine for the bronze, the copper, and the brass, because when they patina, they don't necessarily get a texture, okay? But the iron, does. It will get a texture when it starts rusting because it starts flaking the metal pieces apart and stuff like that. Now, I did not have a case where these flaked off the chipboard. Will it? I don't know. It might. It could. I don't know. So on my little cheap brushes here, I don't remember where I picked them up from. Probably Harbor Freight, probably forever ago too. And they're not necessarily made for reuse, just so you know, even though I kind of reuse them. Now this is the gold one. And on its own, it doesn't look very well at all. It looks like mustard on my screen. Anyway, this particular set, the Prima and the FolkArt set, which will be next, the set is designed to go together so that you get the 3 shades going on. Okay, and if you've seen my the own rust stuff that I normally do with just regular acrylic paint, y'all know Molasses. I always use 3 colors in that as well because it gives a better effect, in my opinion. Now, my husband did point out to me an interesting fact. I'm just wiping up there, y'all. An interesting fact about real rust, actual rust, not patina, but rust. That parts of it will be shiny for some reason, but most of it's flat with shiny, with just little dots of shiny bits in there. I don't know why. He didn't know why. Neither one of us are metallurgists, if that's pronounced right. I'm trying to show you the texture, and I felt like it was sticking up a little too much, so I'm taking this nice palette knife that looks like a cake icing knife, but it's not. It's a palette knife, and just going to smoosh down some of those bits that were sticking up just a little taller than what I liked or preferred. And I'm going to do the same thing on all of them, and I'm trying to show you the texture. I didn't show you the texture on the VerDay one because there's no texture on it. Okay? So, and that's over there drawing. I'm trying to show you what it looks like when I kind of smooshed it down a little bit. And I think I do one with all 3 colors. We'll get to it. This is a longer video. I appreciate your time. Valuable time, y'all. And I am wiping my knife off. It's a palette knife. Now we're going to do the one with all 3 colors on there. I want to try that too, because why not? Why not? This is gave me a chance, and the stencil cards I will keep with my rust paints because I've decided I need to just keep them all together. Well, except the Molasses. That's in the regular paints, my regular craft paints, y'all. So there's that. And this one I'm going to try to do a little more artistically. I'll wait till y'all see what I do with these things, these faux rust bit things in the next video, which may already be up. It's probably already up by now. If this one's up, that one's up. Mostly, sort of. So, and that's a really long one, y'all. Just saying. I did not use all my rusty bits because I got tired. So, yeah. So we're going to close that one up. And these are kind of thicker, and they are paste. I assume you could use a palette knife, but you would be using a whole lot of product. And there's not a lot of product in these little jars. They're little jars, y'all. So here's the first one's the dark, I think it's just dark rust, or maybe it's brown rust, and then this one is the red rust, and then the gold is gold rust. But you layer them up and they look really cool. I think it's just a little too much texture if you're comparing it to real rust, which I don't have a photo of. I don't. So I'm like, yeah, And it leaves a lot of grit in the brush, and I'm trying to get some of the color out of the brush because they're sort of mixing, sort of not, sort of mixing. And I think I use a whole different brush when we get to the gold color, the mustard color, which is a pretty good color when you do 3 colors together. Okay, I'm just going to smash out some of this stuff. I think it's just a little too textured. But I mean, it all depends. That's why they make so many different flavors of ice cream, right? All depends on what you like. It's not wrong if you like it. Really? Probably. So here's the gold, and I'm going to use less of it because real rust, it is darkest on the bottom because that's the full contact with the metal. And as it rises up, the color gets lighter because that's where it's rusting at, which is why the yellow is on top. Just, you know, again, not a metallurgist. However you want to pronounce that word. I'm not a blacksmith either. So, yeah. And I'm trying not to contaminate my little jar of air. I was not 100% successful on that, but it's all right. It's okay. It's all right. And rust, things that rust don't typically have a patina. Those are different things, y'all. Different things. So here we are. Now we're moving on to the FolkArt, which is a 2 paint set. It came in a set, and I think I got it at Joann's with a coupon. I am so sure it might have even been on clearance. You know how my boyfriend is. So I found out when I was shaking them, they didn't really feel like they were shaking so good. And I thought, well, you know, they are. Oh, maybe they dried up in there. And so I did the darker one already and found out that it's not dried up. It's just so thick in there with texture that the texture was all stuck on the sides. And there is no mixing ball in here. So I am using my fancy palette knife there and squishing it all around inside. I'm trying to save it, you know, and wiping it off my knife and getting it back in the little bottle. Now it's going to shake up a lot better. While you're using this, if you're, you know, between smooshing it out and whatever, I would shake the bottle again. Just make sure you got your lids on good and tight. As you can see, I got rust all over. My fingers are rusting. Oh no, my fingers are rusting. So here's the dark one. And this is actually pretty heavily textured as well. Now I tried a different brush with it. It's a bigger brush. It is just as stiff as the other one. And it gets all clumped up in the bristles. Those crappy ones from the Harbor Freight on the metal thing right there, they worked pretty well because some of the texture stuck in there, but this is the texture just really clumped up in these bristles, just so you know it, which is why you don't want to use a foam brush because you would lose all your texture. And the paint itself is somewhat translucent if you were to actually just smear the paint out. But the daubling like that with the brushes. See how it's all stuck in there? I don't know. I'm trying to show you. I don't know. Portions of this video have been sped up for your viewing pleasure and my somewhat convenience. Although it is inconvenient to do a lot of editing. But there we go. Now it's all shiny because it's wet. When it dries, this will all be flat. So depending on how realistic you want to get, you may want to add a few dry brush marks with a gloss varnish or something. I don't know, maybe, could be. Now this is the red one. Sorry, taking a drink, y'all. And I'm back to using the really crappy brush. They really are crappy brushes, and they do not wash very well at all, because if you wash it, then the bristles start coming out. And the glue that's used on them must be water activated, okay? So what I did, because y'all know I try to be green, planet aware, I pulled the bristles off and threw the little metal aluminum tubes in the recycle bin, because they are recyclable, but the hairbrush part is not, and that went in the garbage, in the bin, the dustbin, the trash. So I decided I'm just going to go ahead and add some red on the dark spot, and I'm just going to go back and forth, and if the dark gets on the red one, then that's okay. Because this dark one's really dark. I mean, it's almost black, but it's not. It's a dark brown. And there will be a photo montage later. So, because we've got one more I'm going to do. I'm going to show you my regular rust treatment, how I normally do rust, because I forgot I had this so much rust, specific rust paint stuff, y'all. So we're just going to go my normal way, just for comparison's sake. I mean, why not? I start off with black. You could use dark brown, but I always just pretty much start out with black. If I don't use a black base, y'all, then I'll use a dark brown base. You know, but this is essentially my 3 paint colors when I do faux rust, typically. Y'all know, y'all seen me do the flat back pearls and make rivets out of them. I know y'all seen that. I will try to link to that video if I remember. Now, this is clear gesso, and I'm adding the gesso because it does add some texture. Okay, now if you just have craft paint, you can use that. You can get some spice, some cinnamon, some old spit cinnamon that's not very cinnamony anymore, and use that for texture. Just add little bits at a time, y'all. Or if you have some really fine sand, you could try that. Paint stores like Sherwin-Williams, Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware probably, or whoever sells paint, they do tend to carry a texture sand that people put in paint so they can, I don't know, so they can have gritty texture in their paint on their walls or whatever. So you can try that too. I don't know how much that costs. I know I got old cinnamon in my cabinet, but maybe I'll remember that when I run out of all this faux rust specific paint stuff I have that I need to use, that I want to use. I want to use it, y'all. Don't just say you need to, you want to, okay? So there we added molasses, which in my opinion, and I think the molasses is a FolkArt paint. The description box below gives the list of ingredients, and it will tell you what brand of acrylic paint it is. Now here's some orange, and that is just craftsmart, craftsmart, I don't know. And I'm just going to smoosh that around. And then I'll add some of the black again, just teeny tiny bits of black. Yeah, this is not textured other than the little bit of texture from the clear gesso. Nowhere near like the Prima and the FolkArt kit set. Okay, which I think, in my opinion, is just a way they both were too texture-y to me. So I thought, the opinion, keeping it. So, what are we going to do next? Oh, I'm going to sort of show you a close-up. See, you can see that's smooth, and that, I believe, is the bronze one. That's going to be copper. Pretty sure. That's going to be the iron, which is what most of us think of as rust, because it is. Maybe that's the copper. One of them's brass, copper, and bronze, and then we have the iron. So because these were stencils and I didn't take any close-up pictures before, I was just checking, it felt like maybe it was coming off, but it wasn't. So oh yeah, I guess I did. I didn't think I did. And I'm gonna sort of show them together. Yeah, you know, just looking at them. I keep these, like I probably already said that, with my rusty stuff. Okay. It's just, to me, it's just a little too much texture. Now that one, the VerDay rust over there on the iron is probably the most realistic in color wise. But you can see how it's got the varying colors. This one doesn't look very good on the camera. It looks better in real life. And sometimes that's just the way it happens, y'all. And this is the FolkArt kit, the 2 colors. And again, I'm going to try to show them. It's like, no. No, see how that one looks? The FolkArt one just looks so dark. It looks black, but I guess it sort of is. I don't know. I just keep comparing them and rubbing it. It's like, it feels like a weird sandpaper, which, you have some old sandpaper, maybe you could paint that out and make it kind of rusty, just sort of. I was just checking to see if it was going to crack, and it didn't crack or lift. So there we go. And I'm going to go and I'm looking at, because they're stencils, so I'm going to punch out the little bits that are on the inside. And I thought, well, I don't think they're going to punch out very well, because now they've got that acrylic covering on the outside. I don't know if the VerDay washes up with water, so I'm not sure if it's an acrylic or not, y'all. I don't know. So I thought I'll cut the little, y'all know how when they put stencils together, they have these little tips that hold the innards and the outwards together. And I thought, well, I'll just cut around those and make myself easier to punch. And it was just more work than anything. And so I just punched them all out, and I didn't take any close-up pictures, but before I did all the punching out, y'all. Just saying. So yeah. And then photo montage in the upcoming video, which should already be out. It's called Let's Use Faux Rust. You will see where I use the punch out bits. Y'all, I'm so happy. So happy. Yeah. I tried to put the name on there, not the color necessarily. Well, I didn't put the color, just the name of the paint color set thing. Okay. Prima had the 3 colors. VerDay had 4, Prima had 2, or Prima had 3, and FolkArt had 2. And then when I used my regular craft paint, I used 3 colors. Click on show more to see more information about the ingredients and stuff like that. I so appreciate each and every one of you, your kind comments, your likes, your subscriptions, and your valuable time. Oh, and share. Don't forget to share my video. Thanks for watching, and happy arting, y'all.